Hey, Bellator Society. I just lost an earbud. It's Tracy and Fran, and we've got Father G, and we're doing another round of technology checks, and we're going to talk to y'all today about Holy Week. Hi,
Yes.
Father G. Hey, Fran.
Hello.
Hey guys,
Hey.
So Father G is a very good friend of the Jaegers. We are so happy that
pray
he's
for
joining us
me.
we do pray for you. We pray for you all the time.
Thank you.
We love Father G. His name is actually Father Gervan Menezes. Did I
You
say it
got it.
right?
Yes, you got it.
I always hesitate. It's kind of like Jaeger. Like, is it Jaeger? Like people almost want to like say it really quietly in case they mess it up. But Father G has been our friend since we moved here to Nashville. He has been such a good mentor to our boys. He has led the Melchizedek Project for high school boys. Our junior high boys aren't in the Melchizedek Project, are they?
What's that?
Are junior high boys in the Melchizedek
No, not
Project?
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more high school age. Yeah, it's a high school age group.
So it's kind of a vocations formation program here in this diocese, and I think they have it in other dioceses as well. But Father G is very involved in that. He was the chaplain for my boys' high school, and now he's the chaplain for University Catholic, which is the university ministry for Catholic kids at Vanderbilt and at Belmont. And he's also like an associate pastor at the Cathedral, correct?
Yes,
He's also the master of ceremonies for our bishop, correct?
that's true.
And you just started a doctorate program, correct?
Yes, I did.
What don't you do, Father? Do you sleep?
I do.
How
Sometimes.
did you have time to talk to us today?
You
You
know,
just
it's
carved it. You squeezed us in. We're
yes,
so
I
happy.
did. Yes, yes. So, yeah, it's crazy, but it's good. It's busy, but it's awesome. I really enjoy every single thing that I do. So.
And
Well,
you're good
yeah.
at it. Oh, I didn't mention this. He's also a chef.
You are?
I like to cook, yes. So
What's your
on
specialty?
so the funny thing about all this is I live at the cathedral. We have four priests in a seminary live with us, and now we kind of really going family, style because we have breakfast every day. So I cook. I don't clean, so I cook. So it's awesome. I cook, and then the other priests who have yeah they clean. So that's awesome. But anyways, and then we have dinner every day. So I'm kind of learning and getting great stuff cooking every day for breakfast and dinner. So that's awesome.
Nice.
I've been following you with your pictures of the meals that you've been making. They're very impressive. And I will say every time that Father G comes to my house, I'm a little bit nervous about what to make because I know that his standards are very high.
It's always been good there, friend. So don't worry.
Thank you.
Fran is a very good cook. That's kind of how I feel about any. I'll bring a bottle of wine. When you go to somebody's house that can cook, it's a little nerve wracking.
Yeah,
Okay,
I always ask her, should I bring anything? She's like, I got this. I said, okay.
I got this. Okay, so I first saw you for the first time on Facebook in a plane or a helicopter or something blessing your town. And so I said something to Fran and she was like, I know him. This was a while ago when kind of the coronavirus pandemic just started. So this morning we were talking and I'm like, was he in a plane or a helicopter? And she said, I don't know. And I'm like, did he have holy water she did know you had the Monstrance because I
Yeah.
couldn't remember. But can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago, when this whole coronavirus started, we saw, I don't know exactly where it was, but there was a priest somewhere that they got an airplane and went to bless the city. So I know this guy called Daniel Shaco. He's a Knights of Columbus. He's awesome. And he said, he reposted on his Facebook and said, we should do this and kind of tag a bunch of priest friends of him. And then I saw that and I said, I'm in. So
Love it.
that was 2 Mondays ago. And then he said, are you really? I said, yes. And he said, okay, so let's start your plan. And we kind of look on the weather. Anyways, it was Thursday, 2 Thursdays ago. It was a perfect day. The weather was nice and everything. So I woke up really early, got my monstrance,
Beautiful.
and then took Jesus to a ride. So we went we went to Dixon, that is about an hour away from here, from Nashville, and I got there. He's a pilot. He has an airplane,
Wow.
and I mean, it was awesome. We just, there was a almost 2 hours and a half, 2.5 hours flight. So we
Wow.
did about 400 miles.
That's
Wow.
a lot
So
of territory.
yeah, we did a loop in pretty much the whole diocese. So we were able to go throughout the whole diocese. And I think the cool thing, it was a small plane. We were about 65,000 feet. But then we could see where we were, So we went through like frankly, say, oh, that's St. Philip, that's Father Bala, that's Father Nick, and kind of, pray for the people there. And then we went
Yeah.
to, so it was pretty cool most of the times we were able to fly over the parish,
Wow,
so as we were doing there, and I had the Blessed Sacrament with me, we were able to say, oh, this is, Immaculate Conception, Clarksville, this is Father Jacob, Father Rodolfo, Father, there's one more priest there. Father Rick.
Faith
And then kind of,
there.
no. And then kind of praying and, and kind of blessing the people in that parish. And so it was a pretty cool experience, to kind of go. And we were able to go all, the entire diocese.
That's so cool. So it was one of those things where it wasn't just like a mass blessing. I mean, it was very specific and intentional over all the churches and all the priests that,
Yes.
So that's awesome.
And
How
then,
cool.
a couple of people, we went to like Team Forbes Lake, and I was like, well, I know a lot of people who have houses here, like a great family. The Hayes, they have a cabin there that they allowed us to use for like UCAT retreats. And so like, yeah, like an extra blessing right here for them. So it was a really powerful moment. That was a moment that it was like praying for each parish and praying for the whole diocese. And then coming back, so we went all the way to Cookeville. So we started in Dixon, went to Tullahoma, and then went to Cookeville. And then in Cookeville, we took the way back from the tornado. The tornado came from Nashville to Cookeville, so we flew over from Cookeville to Nashville. So we were able to see, like the path of the tornado, and also now praying for those people, praying for those who really were affected by that.
And who are doubly suffering now. I mean, these are people who have lost their homes, who, were already in a state of suffering. And then the corona pandemic hit, and then everyone has to shut down. And so who's helping them?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And then a couple of weeks ago, I saw that, they had a lot of volunteers and everything working with people for the tornado situations. Like, we're done. We can't be here anymore because it's not safe for us anymore. And if you, if you really drive around, you shouldn't be driving, but if you drive around the city and all that stuff, you see a lot of houses with, with blue tarps and all that. That is still, people still suffering from that, the consequences of that. So.
Oh, it's just devastating.
Absolutely.
I want to talk now. We asked you specifically if you would talk to us about how to do the Triduum at home well, because that's what most people are doing. Just as you said, people are not around driving. That means they're not going to churches. That means we're actually not having masses, public masses.
Yeah.
And so we have to do Easter and Holy Saturday and Good Friday and Holy Thursday differently this year than we would before. But before we go there, before we kind of go into the nitty gritty, I did want to ask, like, there was kind of a recent kind of like bubbling up of dissatisfaction with how the priests and the bishops specifically are handling this. There are people who were saying, fling open the churches, let people in for Easter. And then there's been, kind of a pushback of, well, we're still acting in prudence. Like, did we forget that? So have you felt any of that tension? Because it's real and it's among all of the faithful. I mean, I'm not saying one side is a bad side, one side is a good side. These are both people who are trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. Are you feeling that tension as a priest?
Yeah, so I was able to, right before Bishop Spalding canceled public mass, I think it was like on the 16th of March. So I texted him and I said, so what is happening? Like, what are you going to do? And he was like, well, we are pondering, we're taking all the information in. And I said, first thing I said, I'm praying for you, because whatever you do, people are going to be mad at you.
Right.
If you say, let's keep doing what we're doing, they're going to be like, well, you're not prudent and this and that. And then if you cancel Mass, you're going to be like, what kind of bishop are you? You're canceling Mass. So, and I just say, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for the Holy Spirit to be upon you. And you,
Yes.
whatever decision that you make will be best for us.
Right.
You know, and I think that it's okay to be mad, you know, because we have the rights to the sacraments. You know, as Catholic, that's one of the rights that you have. You have, I and you, we all have the rights to the sacraments. So that's the first thing that we have to talk about. You know, everybody have the rights to the sacrament, and we know that. Is that because we are mean? No, it's not. It's you know, there is reality. You know, that is what we want to do, and that is what we can do or we have to do. So I think that's kind of where we are on this day. You know, hey, I would love. You know, it's weird for me as a priest to talk to a cell phone. You know, it's weird for a priest. Like last
Yeah.
week, last weekend, I had the 9 p.m. mass. We have what we call the last chance mass in Nashville. That's our 9 p.m.
Been
mass.
there.
Yeah. So the last chance mass.
No excuses.
Yeah, it's like it's funny because like, oh, I lost the you know the 6 p.m. mass on Christ the King. It's like, no, it's not. We have the Universal Catholic 9 p.m. But anyways, during that 9 p.m. mass, it was kind of weird, you know, talking to a cell phone with 3 people in the church. It was kind of like, but I think at the same time, I didn't hear this, but I saw something on Facebook, people saying that on the White House press conference yesterday, one reporter said something like, "This is the first time forever that we're not going to have Easter," and that's a lie.
It is.
Yeah.
So not true.
You know, I think that a couple of weeks ago, I was able to, you know, Palm Sunday got to University Catholic, and I was like, oh my God, you know, Easter is coming.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been telling this, Easter is going to happen, no matter what. Unfortunately, this year it's going to be a different way that we're going to do Easter, but Easter is happening.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, like Fran said, I work with the bishop, so we did the Palm Sunday Mass, and we are, you know, it's different because we are adapting everything. You know, Pope Francis in the Congregation for Divine Worship, they sent us like, what should we do, what should we change, and all that stuff. So the guidelines were really good because, you know, we not
Really?
yeah. So there's some guidelines for example for Holy Thursday. It's a mass that we do the washing of the feet.
Right. So what are the guidelines?
No washing of the feet.
Oh, okay. Wow.
You know, so go ahead.
So for that, for example, could families maybe just symbolically wash each other's feet? Like, would you?
So the mass itself is going to happen, okay?
Right.
So I think that going back to that first question, how families can celebrate. Yesterday I saw PJ Anderson and his family were washing each other's feet. You know, I mean, what powerful moment was that?
Yeah.
You know, and yes, go and wash, you know, the mass, and maybe that's all you can do in your house. You know, each one, you know, wash each other's feet.
Well,
So
I can assure you that I would never probably wash my husband's feet
Under ordinary circumstances.
ordinary Holy Mercy opportunity. So this is kind of like a new opportunity to I'm sure there's going to be giggles but it's still going to be like a way of kind of humbling ourselves in our family, in our domestic church, to do these things for each other.
Yeah, one of the things so on time of Jesus, the one who washed the feet was the lowest slave. You know, so that's kind of, if you think about that, when the bishop comes and wash the people's feet,
Right.
it's so the way that it's happened is like it's always have some being like the bishop wash the, you know, so it cannot be like the faithful washing the feet of the bishop.
Right.
You know, it has to be like the bishop washing the feet, or the priest, or you know, or the deacon. And one year when Bishop Chobi was still alive, and we kind of, you know, divide some stuff from Holy Week, and because I was the lowest slave in the house, so I was able to, you know, go and wash people's feet. But it's a really humble experience, because on that point, and I think as a priest, you know, we always are acting in the person of Jesus, in persona Christi. So
Right.
it's like this is what Jesus did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he humbled himself and washed the feet, and because he did this, we are called to do the same.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
can't. So so yes, I think that one of the things like prepare your house, whatever TV you're gonna have, get a a crucifix there, get some candles or whatever it is, because this year for the crucifix for Holy Good Friday, we only the bishop is gonna venerate the cross. So after mass, after that service ends, you can do a powerful moment of veneration of the cross in your house. Get some Lysol, clean it out beforehand, but get that moment of
Yeah.
because I've like, yeah, that's the domestic church, and it's not that what we plan to do in this Holy Week, but that's the reality that we are right there.
Right.
But I
Right.
think the biggest thing is the church is alive,
Mm-hmm.
and we are having Holy Week, we are having Easter, we are, all that stuff. And I think for us, priests sometimes, oh, nobody's here. And I was like, no, like University Catholic Mass, we always have incense. We always do like Eucharistic prayer number one. And I said, this is still Mass.
Mm-hmm.
This is still Sunday Mass. So we are still doing incense. We are still doing all that stuff. Why? Because it is still Mass.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
and the beauty is the priest is saying Mass. No, as priests, we are called to every Sunday do the Mass for our people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just to pause for a second and go back
Yeah.
to the statement that you said about somebody at the White House and the press corps mentioned, we're not going to have Easter this year. I think that shows kind of the mentality of Easter is the White House Easter egg roll. Easter
Yes.
is, the petting zoo at your local, neighborhood community center. And that's like the sideshow of Easter.
Yes.
That is not Easter at all.
Mhm.
Easter's going to come and go, and we're going to celebrate Easter without the bunnies and without the posters from the White House and the Easter egg roll and all that stuff. So that's just the mentality, I think, of some people of what Easter is versus what we as Catholics and Christians know that what Easter is.
For me, it really makes me crazy Christmas. Because Christmas for people, you start what? Right
Advent.
after Halloween,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, after Halloween, sure. Yeah.
Halloween is like
Fourth
At
of
least at the
July.
Hobby Lobby.
yes, yeah, Hobby Lobby started 4th of July. But then it's funny because on December 25th, that for us
Yeah.
is the beginning of Christmas.
Right.
We're already talking about uh, Valentine's Day. Hobby Lobby changed everything to, and I was like, no, stop it. We start Easter, we start Christmas now.
Right.
And then the radios don't play Christmas music anymore. Like what I do is like my Christmas decorations don't go down until February 2nd.
Oh, you're doing it old school. Whoa.
It's not,
Not
it's
just Epiphany, but the baptism.
no, yeah.
So,
So
Father, we've had this
presentation of the Lord,
discussion.
presentation of the Lord. I mean, not even Baptist, February 2nd.
Presentation of the Lord. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but the funny thing is, the person that they donate the live Christmas tree for Sally House, she's like, Father, that's not safe. And I was like,
It
what
might
do you
catch on
mean?
fire.
Yeah. She's like, no, we put a lot of Sprite there. It's good. She's like, okay,
A lot of
this is what
Sprite.
we're gonna. Yeah. So she said, this is what we're gonna do for next year. We're gonna put the natural tree outside, and we're gonna put lights. I like that. But anyways, like same way with Easter.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday is the first day of Easter. We have the whole octave. The 8 days after Easter Sunday is Easter Sunday. And then we have the 50 days. So all that stuff that sometimes we just take it for granted or because we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But for us, Christmas and Easter is not one day. And if we really understand, we are the people of the resurrection.
Right. Right.
That's why we celebrate every Sunday. That's why we celebrate every day. So even if we don't have, and it's a beauty that even when people are not there, the holy sacrifice of the Mass is there. And we are, as priests, we're not priests for ourselves.
Right.
We are priests for our people.
Right.
So even when I'm celebrating Mass alone, I'm not alone.
That's exactly right. Like the communion of saints, if we really understand what the Mass is, only a fraction of the people aren't there. The
Yeah.
entire heavens have opened up to participate in this transcendent reality that is the Mass of Jesus Christ. And so most of the people are still there.
Yes. That
It's
is
still
true.
happening. It's still happening. And they're still praying for us. And we can still even participate in an extraordinary way. It's not
Yes.
the ordinary that we are accustomed to. It's not the order of the sacraments that we have come to know and appreciate and that are important. The order is important. But
Mhm.
these are extraordinary circumstances, and God
Exactly.
works extraordinarily outside of even the natural order, outside of certainly the sacramental order. God can do all of these things even without us doing things as they always have been.
Yeah.
And to your point, Father, that you said we have a right to the sacraments, and people should be upset. And we have a friend who's a deacon, and he had to help make some of those decisions that are in the Diocese of Little Rock, where we are from, or where we met. And he said, I'd be upset if people weren't upset. Like,
Yes.
people should be upset. But to that point, I think there's also for me, a call to support our priests and to support our bishops. And I don't think any priest wants to be sitting in their house saying Mass to, to 2 or 3 living people and the communion of saints. And so I feel like some of this priest shaming, a little bit of like, just, disobey your orders, open your doors, say Mass, let people come, receive the sacraments. I've seen some of that on some of these different social media groups, and to me it's sort of saddening. It's disheartening. Because I know that like you can't wait to have people back, your university students back.
Yeah, and I think for us is, we, and I think that's the beauty of our Catholic Church. There is a person in charge, and that person has the wisdom and has what it takes to lead us.
Right.
So when that's one of the really powerful moments on our, ordination. 2 days ago, I was ordained a deacon 7 years ago. So yeah. So when we kneel in front of the bishop and he put his hands around our hands, Judas, and they put his hands, and he said, "Do you promise respect or obedience to me and my successors?" That's when I said, "I do," and I was like, crying. But that's what it means. It not only isn't that what you guys do in marriage?
Yes.
You're not gonna say, "Yeah, I'm gonna love you just on the good times, on the bad times." Oh, hold on, no.
Right.
You love your husband, whatever it is, whatever time it is, good times, bad times, right, Fran, when like poop stuff comes up and all that stuff.
Fidelity at all times.
Amen. But that's the same thing for us in the church. Sometimes maybe, the bishop makes some decisions that are hard for me to take in, but because I love and respect the church and my bishop, I will abide to those decisions. Maybe, and it's like for me in the University Catholic, sometimes I make some decisions that makes the students mad. It's like, and what I tell them every time is like, I'm making some decisions because this is the best for you.
Right.
And sometimes I can explain, sometimes I cannot, because I have a bigger picture. I have a picture of things that you don't know. And that decision that I'm making, it's the best decision because I know stuff, that just like parents.
No, that's exactly it is. I mean, it is the good kind of paternalism. I mean, we have bad paternalism where, you could never understand. I'm right at all times. Please don't ask any questions. But I don't feel like that's what our bishops or our priests are doing right now. I feel like they're going over and beyond to try to explain why this is happening. Like that, like they're trying to be good fathers. They're trying to be good authorities of the power that they have been given legitimately. Like they actually can make these decisions or for the faithful, not on our behalf, but for us. They have the authority to make those decisions. And I think we live in, those of us in the United States have such a skewed sense of what a right is, that we have this idea that everything is as an absolute right, and that there are never circumstances or situations in which the authority, who is a legitimate authority, can actually not remove the right, but make adjustments for the circumstance. That's part of the whole structure of the church.
I was remember as you were talking, I was talking to this priest. One time I went to a conference in December, and I didn't find priests to sub for Mass at Father Ryan when I was the chaplain there. And then this kid, really smart, got mad of me. It's like, Father, you couldn't even find a priest, and I was like, no, I couldn't. And then I had some of the communion ministers from Father Ryan's students to do communion service, and I was like, you're thinking about the priesthood, here it is, do this, train them and everything. But then I went to this conference and I met this priest from the diocese of one of the dioceses in oh my God.
Was it in the United States?
Yes.
Can we ask 20 questions to get there? Was it on a coast?
No, not a coast. Oh my God, Fairbank.
Oh, Alaska? Is that
Alaska? Yes,
oh, wow.
Alaska.
Okay.
And then he said, we were talking about it, and I told him about this, and he said, we have parishes that only have Mass every 2 months.
Yeah.
If the weather permit.
Oh my goodness.
Because they fly there.
Right.
So if it is a bad storm, sorry, 2 months from now. So like, whoa.
Right. Yeah, it's eye-opening.
Yeah, so I think for us, we are so used and so, and yes, it is all right to come here, and if I miss the 8 o'clock Mass, I can go to the 8:30 there, and I can go to the 10 o'clock. And I don't know, we were talking, and just so nobody wants to not have Mass, Right. I know that the good thing is I'm not a pastor, but like all the pastors are freaking out right now. Right. There's no money come in.
Well, you know what? I didn't want to say that, but I'm glad that you mentioned that, because this is not the most noble of observations. However, it's true, some parishes are firing people because they can't pay the salaries that they have, hired these people to do jobs that are important when everybody's in the church. But when everybody's not going to church, the people can't actually do their jobs well, and there aren't enough funds to continue to pay these people. And the pastors don't want that. I mean, again, if you just appeal to the lesser angels, they would prefer people being in the pews giving money so that everything can go as normal. There's a lot of complication happening just by virtue of people not being, in church to give their weekly donation.
And it's not only about the priest, but I mean, sometimes we come to church on Sunday and the office is closed, so we really don't understand what is behind all that. We have a director of religious education, we have a youth coordinator, we have a bookkeeper, we have people that actually work at the church to make sure that when you get there on Sunday, everything is clean, everything is nice, everything is ready to go. And
those bulletins are put together.
Yes, bulletins are put together. I mean, it's all that stuff that, and
we don't see.
One of the things, please keep sending, do the online giving, keep sending your checks, because it's not about the priest, it's about the people in it. So, for example, the Cathedral, we have a day school, like a preschool. Those teachers, they need to receive money. They need to receive their salary. There's no other way. I mean, some of them, they need that money. It's not like, oh yeah, that's my extra job. They work on that and they need their money. So how are we going to do this if kids are not coming? And so it's a whole different.
Well, it's like a domino effect. What is affecting us is affecting everybody else in a different way. And we don't see that in the same way that we don't see all the people working behind the scenes. We don't see all of the other people who are being affected by the same things that are cramping our style. It's not cramping their style when they lose their job. It's devastating for many people.
Yeah. And yesterday we were supposed to have the Christmas Mass, and for the Christmas Mass, we were supposed to have a big reception. So the catering company, we cancel, we cancel, and then I mean, like, it's just like a domino effect, like you said, Fran. We really don't know how many people are really affected by this.
No.
Absolutely. So I think the big moral of this story, for those who are on social media, writing, open letters and doing all these things, demanding that churches be open. I mean, I think the point of what we're saying is, as soon as it's prudent, as soon as it's safe.
Tracy, you keep hitting your desk. You're very emphatic.
She's not bad.
The bishops are going to open the churches. And until then, support your priests, support your parishes, try and tithe if you can.
Let me just say this, the church are not closed. The church are open. Anytime that a priest say a mass, that is the opening. Mass is where heaven and earth get together.
Yes.
So the church is not closed. Right. The church is open. So we have to, maybe the building.
Yeah, the doors.
Because
doors.
The bishop said so, and it's funny because Bishop Spalding said another clarification email say, this is the amount of people who can have that, and the doors have to be locked.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
What is that clarification? Thank you for mentioning that, because prior, like for the past couple of weeks at least, we've been able to go just about any church, and the doors have been open. You can go in. You've been advised to sit a couple pews away from the next person, but that's not the case anymore, at least in this diocese. What is the new rule?
No, actually, the adoration confessions is we can still do it.
Okay.
So, we just have to have a little precaution for, and the thing is, like, people, I don't care if I'm going to die, because I'm going to die anyway, So I'm not afraid of coronavirus. I'm not afraid of dying.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we see so many people that I don't want to pass,
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
It's just like, as Matt being a doctor, this, it's like I saw something on the news yesterday, like, he spread the word, not the virus. He spread the good news. He spread Jesus Christ, not the virus.
Yeah.
So we have to protect ourselves, not for our own sake. I mean, how many saints die, ministry to people with the plague, so.
Or Saint Damien.
Yeah. So, I'm just pray to God that I have an opportunity to go to confession beforehand, and I'm ready to go. But it's not for our own sake. It's for the sake of the congregation. Whenever let's say if I have some bug or whatever, when I give communion, that probably going to go with Jesus. So all that stuff that we just have to be mindful of,
And it's temporary. I think that's the other thing. Like, guys, we've only been doing this a couple of weeks. Like, it's not like we are in the Middle Ages or even in Fairbanks, Alaska. Haven't had the Mass or the Blessed Sacrament for a couple of months. It's been a couple of weeks, and it hurts. And again, it should hurt. We should miss it. But this isn't something that has, this isn't the new norm. We're still adjusting to what this even is, and it may be that it's another month or 2 months or however long, who knows?
Yeah.
But it's still very temporary in the grand scheme of things.
Yes. So, I think that it's just like we just have to. This is where we are. Probably this is not the ideal.
No, it's not.
But this is where we are today, and we have to adapt. But the church is open. The sacraments are happening. And if anybody, so there's this person that I know that both his parents got coronavirus. First dad from his work, and then mom got. It's like, can you go see my parents? And I said, buddy, let's see this bigger picture. Are your parents dying?
Yes.
No. Okay. Yeah. So if you told me, Father, they are in the ICU, they are dying, they have 4 hours, I don't care who I have to fight. The good thing is, like, I have my Vanderbilt ID. I would go there and I will anoint them. Yeah. But I said, right now they are stable. They are good. So for me to go there, because I know that they have coronavirus, if I go there, what does that mean for me and for my other 5 brothers who live in my house?
Right. Because we need you. The church needs our good priests. We need our bishops. So if we get wiped out, we're in a world of hurt too. I mean,
exactly. So, and then he understood. I was like, if they are dying, if they are in a situation, it's like, no, that's it. we'll go, and then his dad had to go. His mom was in the hospital. His dad was, needed to go, and we had like all arranged here. And it's like, come to the cathedral, stay in the car. We're gonna mask, gloves, whatever we have to do. We're gonna go there. We're gonna hear his confession, and then he's like, "No, I think I'm okay."
I'm good.
We will do it.
It's like a lot of work. I'm good.
We will do it, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But we just have to, like, what does that mean? If somebody is dying, that changed the whole, the whole
Right.
perspective and changed the whole thing. And then it's like, yes, we will go and we'll do whatever we have to do. But we just have to be, prudent, not just for myself, but I have to think about, the people who live with me. I have four other brothers who live with me. So what does that mean?
Right. Speaking of adapting and how the church adapts, going back to the Triduum a little bit, we are adapting right now. We're going to be doing this, Holy Week at home. And so we've talked a little bit earlier about, maybe some ideas of how we can incorporate what we're used to doing in the church buildings and how we're
Yeah.
going to do that at home. And so we talked about maybe washing each other's feet, which is going to be probably kind of funny at my house. But it's going to be special and it's going to be new and interesting and it's going to be a memory and we're going to we're going to watch the holy the stream that our diocese is doing on Thursday. And then on Friday you mentioned it Friday you said to the veneration of the cross, maybe do something like that in your home, because that's normally what we would be doing on Good Friday in our church buildings. What else do you have up your sleeve that creative ways to to bring sort of the symbolism and the liturgy at home to our family?
Yeah, I think this year and maybe that's something that you can do with your whole family, get the books and say, this is what we're supposed to do, guys. Like, hey, and not only say, we're going to wash the feet, like, hey, guys, go with your family and say, let's start the ceremony on Thursday. This is the readings. This is what the priest should do and all that stuff. How can we do this here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like as a family, how can I take this opportunity? Because I think mainly it's a great opportunity for us to be with Jesus and live with him this next couple of days.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Matt and how he learns, and he, since he was a child, has told me that he took apart a TV or took apart whatever just to see how it worked. And I think this is a great opportunity for deconstructing our liturgy for our children. Take it apart and show them what each little piece is for. And we can do that. We even saw that at the first Mass that we had to have in our home. I could actually talk out loud to our 5-year-old and say, do you see what he's doing there? And I would never do that in a church because it would not be appropriate, out loud in that way. But because it's in our home, I really can be more deconstructive and say, we're doing this because of this. And what a great opportunity that we would not have had otherwise. We didn't ask for it, but we would certainly have had it.
And I mean, I can imagine Sam going around the house with the palms.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Yeah. So, but I think that's a great opportunity that we have to live that liturgy, And I was telling before, the Congregation for Divine Worship sent some adaptations for this year, Holy Week. So, we're not going to have the washing of the feet, even the Easter Vigil, we're not going to bless the fire or, but I think those kinds of things, they are things that maybe for Easter for the Easter Vigil, have everybody have a candle, and then it's time of the renewal of the baptism, everybody light your candle.
Turn all the lights off and pass it around. Let the light grow. Yeah.
Yeah, and then whenever the bishop, do you renounce Satan? Yes, I do. So that will be something that you're going to be doing with the church and praying with the church. Go around the liturgies, get your whatever Magnificat, Word Among Us, whatever you have, and say, hey, this is the things that we do in this liturgy.
Yeah.
And how can we have this in the house? Maybe right before you start the Easter Vigil Mass, have all the lights,
I love that.
off,
That's
and
beautiful.
then whenever the liturgy, because this year is going to start with the lights on,
Mhm.
because the Paschal candle is going to be, is going to be there. But how can we do, or what can we do to participate? And it's like, a little bit before, guys, why do we have the lights off?
Yeah.
Well, because Jesus is dead.
Yeah.
He's in the tomb. Okay, so that is darkness. And what is darkness for us? Isn't it us? Whenever we didn't have Jesus, we were in darkness. We were in sin. But because that great light that came to us, now we are a people of the resurrection. Now we are those who have a light. Because on the day of our baptism, we receive that candle. And for those moms and dads who are organized, maybe you should have your kids.
Organized.
Maybe,
Sorry.
maybe you should have your kids' baptismal candle.
Yes,
Candle.
genius.
Bring those candles like on the day of your on the day of your baptism.
Yeah.
We receive this candle, and you and I have a responsibility to keep this candle lighted.
Oh, I'm getting the baptism candles out. I love that. That's perfect.
Of course, you
That's a
have like a
great idea.
Tupperware with all the names and
I do.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tupperware.
But if you, I don't know if my
He's
mom is
speaking
have
to
my
you,
baptism.
Fran, the organized moms.
But if you don't have it, it's okay. Just get a candle.
Yeah.
Get a candle and say, hey, on the day of our baptism, you will receive a candle like this one. I don't know where I put yours, but this is your candle now.
It looked like this.
It looks like this. Go to your church and say, Father, can I have a baptismal candle? Here's like some more contribution for the candles, whatever.
Or
But
what are people doing with their Advent candles? Like, we never really use all of our Advent candles on our home wreath. So let children decorate the Advent candles. Like, give them little toothpicks to make little crosses, or decorate the old Advent candles and let those be the candles they use.
maybe after you participate in the Easter vigil, light a candle on your porch.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we are the people of the resurrection.
Yes.
Get it, like you guys have fancy stuff. Put a candle outside of your door. It's a,
Get your face the candles out.
Light them because you never do.
I know, right? I light a candle. It's fine. But this is
Not the pretty ones.
this is the light of Christ.
Yeah.
And we,
Amen.
as that's and I know there are other dioceses and people say, that's the light of Christ. People,
Father, I don't know if you know this, but we recently published a Stations of the Cross that one of our contributors wrote. He's a Catholic principal in a Catholic elementary middle school in Arkansas, and he and some of his students about a year or so ago wrote this, wrote a Stations of the Cross, and so we have used it as an e-publication, but we also recorded it as a podcast and released that a week ago on our Friday podcast. And so Fran, of course, because she is really creative, and so I'm going to do this year. She did the Stations of the Cross with her family, but she let them draw or, kind of artistically render each station. So I guess one at a time,
It was live illustrated. Yes.
Live illustrated. So I think that is a genius idea. So we're going to do that on Friday this year too, as part of our just celebration.
One of the things that I saw, I don't remember what school, but it was one of the Catholic schools in our diocese. What they did is, because of Holy Week, they asked the kids to use some kind of movie making stuff and tell the story of Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Jesus suffering, death. And it was hilarious because, when I saw this kid, they got like it's called.
Is it Windex? You were doing
I know,
that.
I was thinking Lysol. You were like.
No, they took like I'm getting old. Anyways, again, like little figures.
Like
Lego?
Legos, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I'm getting old. So, anyways, Legos, and then they got this little figure, and they put a cross on the back, and they shoot that, and it's like, oh, Jesus suffering.
Yeah.
And then death, it was like, they make like a Lego kind of tomb and put Jesus there. And then resurrection, it was just the tomb without the little figure there. The other one like used like a pen to do the tomb of Jesus, and then they open it. So all that kind of stuff that we
So creative.
That is creative.
opportunities for us to, you know, live this time with, you know, like how can we involve everybody?
Mm-hmm.
I was other day I was listening to this, like somebody said, parents, you now are in charge of schooling your kids. Put religion back on it.
Yes.
You know,
Oh goodness, yes.
how can you, everybody, we're gonna, you know, there are so many priests doing mass, like we're gonna start every day with mass,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, you know, or we're gonna finish the day with mass. I have the 5:30 every day, you know. What, how can we make sure that the kids, and like, and then, hey, did you hear the gospel today? What did I start for you in the gospel?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're gonna use, you know, our English class today is gonna be read the gospel and understand the gospel and know who are the, you know, who was in the gospel, what was happening. I mean, and I think you can use that as a good English lesson, you know, read and understand the gospel. Who said what? That's Lectio Divina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. You know, and I do think it's an opportunity. I mean, most parents who are homeschooling their children right now or schooling their children at home right now aren't necessarily in charge of the curriculum. They're not choosing exactly what they get to do. But I do feel like it is the opportunity for us to realize what it means, that we are indeed the first and best educators of our children in the faith,
Absolutely.
especially in the faith. Maybe not in science, maybe not in math, maybe not even in English, but in the faith. Like this is the opportunity that we have been given, where our children, we're not sending them to CCD or to religious education, and we're not sitting in the pews in mass, but we are still the church. Just as you said, we are the domestic church. And what a beautiful opportunity we have to realize what had always been our responsibility. And maybe we abdicated sometimes.
Yeah, one of the things for, you know, on our side is, I was talking to somebody the other day that when I was a seminary in San Antonio, I was assigned to this parish, and I was assigned for the confirmation class. The biggest problem that we had, it wasn't the kids, it was the parents. They had no idea.
Sure.
You know, so a lot of the parents, they use the church, the religious education, as like a free child care.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it was so bad when we see parents that just, you know, left the kids in church, and they would go to Walmart, they would go to do whatever they have to do for an hour, come back, pick up the kids, and not even go to mass.
Yeah.
That is your, you know, if we really understand what we do, that's one of the things when we do baptism. First thing, you know, what name do you call your kid? Johnny, Sam, whatever. What do you ask Sam, the church, for Sam?
Baptism.
And then the other questions: do you understand what are you overtaking?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand the responsibility that you have with this child?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Godparents. And I always like to do baptism during Mass, because after that, when I ask the parents and I ask the godparents, I said, how about you, church?
Yeah.
You want to help this family to upbring, because we need we need the religious education teachers. We need all those people. It's a whole church thing.
Yes.
And it's a really powerful when they say, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do want to, you know, help this family, to help this kid to grow their faith.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think the community is so important, but outside of the possibility for community in the ordinary way that we have become accustomed to it, I do think that it is incumbent now upon parents to just realize, again, what had always been our responsibility, and that's to educate our children in the faith. And what should we be doing if we aren't ourselves well formed? You know, what a great opportunity now it is for us as parents to go back and realize, okay, now why do we do this thing? I guess I should read about it before I try to explain it to my kid. You know, it's just a great opportunity. I mean, again, lemonade from lemons here. We're not saying this is ideal, but we're saying it still can be very good.
You know, and going back to the sacraments, I think your kid was one of the lucky one that have the only confirmation that we had this year.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
but even confirmation, it's not a graduation.
Yes. Oh,
you know, confirmation is not a graduation. It's an opportunity. It's like, now I'm going to live my faith in a way that I'm taking responsibility, but it's not a graduation.
Right.
And I think, this year that we not having confirmation when we normally have, I think it's going to teach us a lesson. It's not about a graduation. It's about a next step on your faith.
It's actually the beginning. It's the beginning of your adulthood in the church. It's definitely not the end.
I had a teacher in the seminary that he's like, I don't understand why those priests for their ordination, it's always like a canonization. You haven't done nothing. You have done nothing. So why are you now? Go work.
I love it. Okay, well, speaking of work, liturgy is the work of the people. And I will say hat tip to the Diocese of Phoenix, Tracy, and to Father G, because Father G was the one who turned me on to this, that there is a document out of the Diocese of Phoenix. I believe it's from the Office of Worship called A Journey Through Holy Week for Families. It's the entire liturgy for the entire Triduum. Actually, it began on Palm Sunday. So Palm Sunday through, and I didn't go to the very end. I don't know if it's through the octave or not, like through Divine Mercy Sunday, but basically every liturgy is in there. An explanation of everything is in there, and it's for families, not because if you're not living in a family that you shouldn't be using this document. I think it's for families, and that they've also added things in that are pertinent to children. Right. But anybody could use the document for free online. It's like an online e-publication from the Diocese of Phoenix. Again, it's called A Journey Through Holy Week for Families. It's genius and it's beautiful, and well done, Phoenix.
It is good.
Yeah.
Bishop Olmsted's awesome.
The Diocese of Nashville, we are, normally when you go to church, you have those beautiful worship aids and all that stuff. We are publishing the worship aids so you can participate in Mass throughout, with what we're doing. So, we have to be creative.
Yeah.
Church is adapting. Hang in there. Hang in there. We are creative people.
We are.
And I think before we start this, I was talking about, I don't know what bishop said that, but on the 1950s with Vatican II and everything, there was a bishop that said that whoever have the TVs and the way, the mass communication media on the year 2000, those people would have the church, would have the people. Yeah. And I think that's what we're learning with that, our Protestant brothers and sisters, they are so much ahead of us in that matter of TVs and live streams and all that stuff. We are right now.
We're playing catch up.
We are catching up.
Yesterday we had a meeting with, the Mass, the Easter Sunday Mass for the Diocese of Nashville is going to be streamed at Fox 17.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Fancy Nashville.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yesterday we had a meeting, it was the sound guy, it was the camera guy, and I was like, like, people, it's just a Mass, just record the Mass, but it was like, no. So it's like so much things that we're learning about how, how this really needs to be, and how it's amazing, it's amazing. The Diocese of Nashville last year, we did a whole series on priesthood, so they got priests, and we learned a lot about that, and it's kind of like it's learning all that stuff all the time.
Yeah, excellence in production is a big deal.
It is.
Yeah, that's why Bishop Barron has been so gangbusters, is because he figured that out way before lots of people did.
And I'm making my list of things that I didn't learn in the seminary that I need, So
you're going to add some courses, I think, for the next generation.
I mean, like Thursday, whatever day it was, last week, they said, Father, they're the palms. We have to decorate the church. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. How are we going to do this? Okay, the palms are here, the vase are here. Okay, let's try to do this, in learning that kind of stuff, because people who normally do this are not here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this looks horrible. Let's start over. And, like, okay.
Decorating wasn't a seminarian course either.
It was not. And then it's like, not only is that nice, it's like, how is that going to look on camera?
Yes, that's a different sort of thing.
Right. Right.
We're learning, we're adapting. So don't think that it's just you guys at home that have to. We are learning,
Yeah.
One day we did an event at UCAT, and I was like preaching my heart off, and then I discovered after I finished that the Instagram went off because the sign was like, so I was preaching for nobody.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. It's just hilarious, but we just have to learn and adapt and see what it is and go from there.
That was all of our live streams last week. We had 3 separate live streams with 0 audio. Fortunately, our producer had it recorded in the background, but we were live online, just tucking and smiling, and no one could hear us.
And we were like, that was good. That was a good. I said something that I wanted to, share.
I said a good thing then.
Or that was funny.
Well, Father, you threw back to Vatican II. I'm going to throw a little further back to St. Teresa of Avila, and that she said, patience obtains everything. And I think that is a virtue that all of us are working on right now, because we want this to go so quickly. We want all of this to happen, at the speed of light, really. And really, we have to be patient with ourselves. We have to be patient with our bishops and with our priests, and just with our capabilities, and just be patient with the circumstance, because it is going to take some time. So thank you for giving us your time today for this.
You're welcome. Yes, I'm glad to be with you guys. And I think that's, with all that stuff, we just have to learn that we are in this together.
We are.
Literally,
We really are.
And we are in a society in a time that we want results right now. We take the picture, and I remember I'm gonna probably feel old now that when you had to take a picture and go to Walmart and develop the pictures and all that stuff. And I was like, man, now we have the pictures. Like, oh, hold on, did you not work out? Let's take another one and do this. So we are in a society that is like, we want things right now.
Yeah, instant gratification is our standard, and that is not the standard of virtue, for sure.
Yeah, so we just have to learn how to, it's hard, and I think it's a great opportunity. And I think when you talk about, St. Teresa and patience, when we pray for patience, God gives us not patience, but He gives us opportunity to be patient. I'm like,
I'm very careful. I'm very careful about my prayers for patience.
I was like, I hate this. This is not what I pray for.
All the red lights.
Yeah.
Every red light.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just like, God have a sense of humor, and one of the things that we were asking the other day at the table is like, how is this going to change the church? And I was like, I don't know, but I know that it's going to change, because, going back to philosophy a little bit, like you cannot, some philosophers said you cannot go to a river 2 times because it's not the same river. The waters went by, and then you are not the same person.
Right. Yeah.
So what is this I think that when we all came back to the new normal, like today, this morning, it's like, do you think that we ever going to have the sign of peace again? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know. Can we not?
We could. Yes, absolutely. That is optional, So, but yeah, like what is that going to mean for us? We don't know.
Yeah.
But I know one thing. God love is there.
Right.
And no matter what, He loves us. And He will give us the grace that we need to be faithful to His calling in our lives.
Yeah.
Because we are called to be saints.
Yes.
Amen.
To one day go and see Him face to face.
Yeah. Yep.
And whatever it is, we have to understand that is our calling. This is what God is going to ask of us. And He's not only going to ask of us, He's going to give us what we need to achieve that goal.
Absolutely.
And if we understand that, it's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever. I'm ready for, whatever it is, Lord. I'm here for you. Because I know that you love me and you are giving me what I need to fulfill whatever you need in my life. Sometimes, it's going to, I think that's the whole new story for a whole different day. But talking about like my vocation, I was kicked out of 2 communities. I was kicked out of a seminary, and my mom was like, "You were lost." I said, "No, I wasn't lost. I knew what God was calling me to, and I had to take some detours on the way." And even though those people that as I was suffering through, I was really mad at them. I was like, "What's wrong with you? This is not the way it's supposed to be." But today I can look back and I said, because of that person, there was
the molding.
Yes.
Well, it's like the story of Saint Josephine Bakhita, who said, if I could meet those people who enslaved me, I would kiss their feet because it brought me to where I am today. And what a beautiful perspective of conversion that is.
Yes.
What a heart of charity.
Yeah, and it's like it's hard, it hurts. It's not the most pleasant thing. It's bad. I mean, yes, when it's happening, you can't see through it. I mean, if you ever drove through a really bad rain, you can't see anything. The only thing that you have to do is make sure that you're between the yellow and white line, right?
The mayonnaise and the mustard. But yeah.
those 2 lines, they're gonna guide us.
Yes.
And I think those 2 lines that guide us when we are in a storm is our church.
Yeah. Yep.
They're gonna say to us, "This is where you go, and don't go beyond this." And then when we follow that, we are in a safe place. If I say, "I don't care this, I know better," you're just gonna maybe fall in a cliff, maybe you're gonna, but I think that's where we are right now. We are in that place that we are in the middle of the storm. And in the middle of the storm, we can't see anything. It's hard. But the church and God give us those 2 lines that we can follow. And if we keep going and follow those lines, even if we don't understand, like, why is that going right? Well, because there's a curve. Follow the line.
Yeah, follow the line.
Go back. And
yeah.
Nobody, in a sense, nobody goes and like, "I'm not going to follow." You're going to follow because that is the guidelines that you have to lead you where you should go in safety. So I think that's where we are in the church today. We have to believe that our bishops, the Pope, the people who are in charge of us, been there before, or at least they risk themselves to trace those lines so we can follow them and go through. Even when we don't agree, even when it is hard for us to see something, follow those lines. Because when the storm is behind us, we can look in the mirror and say, "Yeah, we got saved because we follow what those lines were there for."
Oh, good stuff, Father. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And what I heard you also say, not overtly, was that you're going to come back and tell us the story of your vocation.
Yes, I can do that. Absolutely.
I heard it too.
Yeah, since I can't go anywhere, so.
All right, we're
We'll
going
be right back here.
we're going to be virtually knocking on your door. We're not going to get within 6 feet, we promise. But we'll be after you for sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful Holy Week, and we'll
Thanks
pray for you.
Yes, and I think the great thing about being Catholic, and anytime that we celebrate Mass, we are together.
Yes.
A lot of times when I talk to my kids, to my kiddos, I always say, "See you in the next Eucharist." Because indeed, that's where heaven and earth get together. And we as Catholic, even if the priest is saying the Mass by himself with a camera and a cell phone, we are together.
We're there.
We are together. Yes.
There. Well, thank you so much. You have been such a joy to talk to today, and it was great meeting you virtually.
Yes.
Hopefully one day maybe I'll get to Nashville and can meet you in
Please
person.
come.
Absolutely.
We'll do it.
All the cool people are moving to Nashville, right, Fran?
True story.
I know.
We've been trying to get the Eddies here for a while. Love you,
We love
Father.
Nashville.
God bless you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.